Hey Trexxit, welcome along. My name is Jamos Flashmage. You can call me Jamie if you want to. Most people do. um, Welcome along. It's good to have you. Thank you for placing your trust in me to have a look over these replays for you. So you've sent two ones replays and one twos replay. I've noted that you said you were, I think, Diamond 3, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that. I would hate to be wrong. Where are you? Diamond 2, okay. Diamond 2, and you said in the RLCD that you're really struggling to get out of the rank. Your main problem is that you're playing way too passive and you'll either fake challenge instead of challenging because I'm too scared to fail and letting my teammate in a 1v1 in a 2v1 scenario. You're really mechanical, and that's the main reason you need help. Reach Diamond only because your mechanics and your game sense decision making is bad and you need to improve it. Also, you need help with kickoffs. You can speed, flip consistent, but don't really know the timings. I was champ once, but dropped because of solo queuing. Okay. Good news for you is that I am personally not a mechanical player in the slightest. I don't have any really, but I've consistently over the last few seasons hit 1600. Based purely on game sense, and that is no lie. I just don't have any mechanics. So good news for you is that you probably come to a pretty good person in terms of game sense and stuff. Passiveness, playing twos is always a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So I'm interested to see how passive exactly you are. Hopefully we can look to get things improved for you there. Your ones replays are going to be a little bit different, obviously, because you have to play ones in a much different way, but we'll have a look over them, see what we can do to help. If you've got any questions, queries, or anything after we've had a look, then do feel free to obviously reach out to me and let me know. Anything that you liked, anything that you didn't like, do let me know. I don't know what your ones rank is actually. Let me go and have a look and see what your ones rank is, because I'm intrigued by that. So ones, your Diamond 1. Okay, well, that explains the mechanics, because I can see, so in threes, looks like you're currently gold 2. Okay. I'd suggest that means you just don't play threes. Unless I'm looking at the wrong person, but I'm fairly certain this is you that I'm looking at. So it says your 2v2, your 2 Diamond 2 Div 4 in 2v2 currently. It says you're on a win streak of 1. And in 1v1, you're Diamond 1 Div 2. And you're on a loss streak of 3. Okay, so your ones is falling a little bit. It kind of explains, though, having a similar ones and twos rank does kind of shout out being a mechanical player, because that's more ones than it is twos. So that makes sense. Let's have a look. Let's see what you're doing. We'll start off with the 2v2, which is what I actually specialise in, so that's good. Let's crack on. Let's have a look at it. For the first, maybe, I tend to do a minute or so without commenting, but we'll maybe, because you've just sent the 2v2 replay, we'll maybe do 30-40 seconds, and then we'll start making some comments. But I just want to take some time to have a look and see what you're doing first and foremost. Let's crack on. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So you're right, you do have decent mechanics. Certainly for this rank, you've got decent mechanics. They're not amazing mechanics, but they're decent for this rank. There is definitely some game sense stuff that's going a bit wrong here, so we'll start focusing on that. Okay, we'll start with that. So, teammates on a diagonal kickoff, and we've got two options here. We can either go for a corner boost, or we can follow up in a straight line, grab some mid boosts, and and then we're in a position to sort of attack or defend based on the ball. Going for a corner boost is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're going to go for one, go for the one that's behind your teammate rather than the one that is sort of opposite side to your teammate. So in this instance, you go for the left one rather than the right one. That's purely because your teammate, 9 times out of 10, his momentum after kickoff is going to carry him round to the right hand side, and if the ball pings back into defence, it's unlikely he's going to want to take the mid boost. He's probably going to want to come back and take the defensive corner boost instead. Now, because his momentum takes him out to the right hand side, he's going to be looking at the boost that you've just gone for, and it's going to be missing, and then you've potentially, if the ball comes in your direction, then you're potentially in a 2v1 or even maybe a 2v2 if you're lucky, but at a 2v2 where your teammate's got no boost. So just go for the one behind your teammate instead. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, there'll be occasions where your teammate, for whatever reason, ends up facing the direction he's come from. That's just bad luck. But 9 times out of 10, his momentum will take him out to the right-hand side in this instance. To take the left-hand boost instead, that way you're leaving him the option of the corner boost if he needs it. Again, 9 times out of 10, he'll take that mid boost anyway, but just in case it's a really awkward defensive situation that results from the kickoff, take the left-hand boost, and then that leaves the right-hand boost free for him. If you do get in that really awkward situation whereby you've taken the left-hand boost and he does end up being pinged back towards his left corner, as I said, it's just unfortunate and bad luck. There's not a lot you can do about it. Okay. I'm not really sure why we've taken quite so long here. I would have expected a shot quickly here, because this ball is clearly your ball. Your teammates left it for you. There's no challenge to it, other than from a random plane flying over the stadium by the looks of things. I don't really understand why we've taken so long over this. Maybe it's having a bit too much faith in your mechanics. I mean, I can see what you've tried to do here, but I think you've got plenty of time to go for a shot here. And at this rank, a shot is much more useful than just a hit to keep them under pressure. So you could be up for it at this point. If you think your mechanics are really good, you could be up for it at this point, even this point, this point, this point. This point's probably optimum point to go for it, because at this point it's about to bounce. You can kind of jump up for it, connect with it as it's bouncing or just after it's bounced, get a really powerful shot towards net. Instead, you wait for it to bounce and then jump up and kind of just hit the lower part of the ball as opposed to the middle part of the ball. It ends up not really going anywhere. So now it's your teammate's ball. He does take the shot. Don't know where the shot goes because the return ball come off, but I'm not going to have a look. Not got too much issue with that. Yeah, okay. I like this. If anything, it was slightly too slow, but at Diamond 2 level, it's not that huge issue. The minute you see, obviously, the blue guy go flying past the ball, you know that you're in support for the attack. You know the other guy's behind you, and you do eventually boost and get in there as quickly as you can. I think it was just there was a slight touch of a delay, but that was about it. You said you needed help with your kickoff, so yeah, let's have a look. Kickoff seemed fine to me. Yeah, that's a game sense thing, isn't it? So do the right thing going for mid boost, that's your boost, and then always rotate opposite side to the side the ball's going. You don't know where your teammate is here. You do at this point, you see him now. And he's kind of in that corner waiting for the ball, which means that you're now encroaching onto his space. He's enforced himself as a number 1 player here. Now, throughout the replay, certainly the 2's replay, obviously not in the 1's replay, but throughout the 2's replay, I'm going to refer to people as number 1 and number 2. Number 1 means that in attack, obviously, you're the person on the ball, and number 2 means you're the person in support of the ball. In defence, number 1 means that you're in charge of the situation, and number 2 means you're there in case your teammate fucks up. Now, anytime the ball goes over your head, at any point, whether it's on attack or in defence, so if at any point the ball, and by over your head, I mean over your car, and by over your car, I mean if it goes towards your goal and past your car, so anytime it does that, your teammate essentially becomes number 1 and you become number 2. The only exception to that is if your teammate is way up the field and you know that he's way up the field, and then you obviously have to come back and deal with it. But at this point, we don't know where your teammate is, so at this point, as soon as the ball kind of gets banged into your corner, you have to assume the position of number 2 and assume that your teammate's got this under control. If he hasn't, that's his problem, not yours, and there's not a lot you can do about it. But if we look here, he has got it under control. Sure, he misses the ball. That, again, is his problem, not yours. He's in that number 1 position. He's assumed that position. Number 2 here should be rotating onto the far post, and the reason for that is because if we rotate onto the far post, we've got the whole of the goal covered. We'll have a little look in free play about exactly what I mean about that, because it's a common thing that I see when I'm doing diamond analysis. But what we've done here is, so our teammate is out there as number 1. We've come out to try and join him for no real reason. They've got it past both of you. So it's a good pass inwards. And we're going to get lucky at not going to score here. But you kind of force that situation for 2 reasons. So the first one is the ball goes over you and you don't rotate into the second man position. You try and come into the corner first of all. You then realise your teammate's there, so you do back off, and that bit's fine. That bit's good. But then your teammate is still there, and you don't wait for the ball to come past him. You kind of think, oh, my teammate's in trouble, I need to go and help him. In 3s, that would maybe be okay, but in 2s, all you're doing here is leaving the net open, and the ball then goes past both of you. In the end, what you've actually done, I think, as well, is, if I just have a look, so yeah, you've actually bumped your teammate as well, which means that you've now yeeted him into the corner. You're out of position as well. There's literally no one in your net, and you've got 2 blue players right in front of your net ready to score. They don't. Fine. I mean, they should, but they don't. But that could all have been avoided had we have done a simple rotation into the number 2 position to begin with, just had a bit more patience with it as well. I like that. Initially here we get a little bit too close. I would never get this close. I would hold back a little bit, especially if you're solo queuing, because you just don't know what your teammate's going to do. If it's with someone, if you're playing with someone on comms and it's someone that you trust, you can potentially be a little bit closer. But I'd certainly never be this close in terms of width of the pitch. So I'd try and be more central, purely in case your teammate gets challenged and blue team managed to get a lucky hit towards your net. If you're more central, you're in a better position to defend it. And in terms of length of the field, again, if you're solo queuing, if you're playing with a random teammate, I'd probably at this point still be somewhere around your net area just in case, and until you can assess that your teammate's actually getting the ball away, because it could well be that your teammate ends up missing this. And because if he does miss this, I mean he doesn't, but if he does, then where your position now means you're going to have to make a full turn backwards to be able to do anything with the ball, and it just doesn't make sense. Whereas if you're that little bit further back, if he misses the ball, it's fine, because you can assess the play, assess whether there's any danger, assess whether you can then be first to the ball, and you're in a position where you're behind the ball, so you can just get it down the field if you need to. The second part of this is great. So this is the kind of position I was talking about before. So you've moved into a more central position, which is where you should have been to start with. You're still probably pushed up a little bit too far, but it's not a massive issue. And then at this point, it really should be your ball. And I appreciate, again, you've done the right thing, because you're solo queuing, so you don't know what your teammate's going to try and do. At that point where it kind of reaches the middle of the pitch, your teammate should really just be leaving that for you. But you've done the right thing, because he's continuing to go for the ball. He's asserting dominance as the number 1 player. So you've done the right thing by dropping back into the number 2 position. Decision making there needs to be a lot quicker though. So as soon as this first guy gets this touch, we need to make a decision based on that touch. We need to make it quickly, and those decisions need to either be, screw it, I'm going hard in to challenge it, or I'm dropping back into my own net, so I'm ready to make a save. It can't be one of these where you hover in between your net and the ball, because exactly what's happened here is the thing that's going to happen. What I would do, the way I tend to work on things, and it's difficult to do in the moment, and it gets easier as you get to a higher rank. But what I tend to do in the moment is analyze the situation and analyze the risk in terms of advantage and disadvantage in a percentage way. So I calculate things based on risk. So at diamond level, I would say 50-50 is a good enough risk to take. Once you hit champ, it becomes more of a 60-40 or maybe a 65-35 thing. And then when you hit GC, it becomes a 75% thing. And up to SSL, it's literally a 90-95% thing, because the standard of play is just so good. But here, it needs to be an instant decision based on this touch. Now, the decision based on his touch keeps the ball very close to him. So the decision here should be drop back into net and wait and see what kind of shot he makes, if he does make one. And that does a few things. So first of all, it gives him time to think. Diamonds generally speaking, aren't great when they've got time to think. They don't really have too much in their arsenal to do too much with the ball. So if you drop back into net, you give him time to think about what he can do, and then he's got all sorts of different thoughts going through his head, and he likely can't work out which one to use, and it's likely then going to result in potentially a tame shot that you can save. Second thing that dropping into net does is it just buys you a little bit more time, gives your teammate a chance to potentially get back and help you if he needs to. And the third thing it sort of does is it allows you more time to assess the situation and assess what needs to happen next. So if we drop back into net here, there's a potential that he doesn't make this touch. He makes this touch because he sees how close you are and he knows that he can just pop it over you and into the net. If you are in net, he obviously will know that you're in net, and he potentially doesn't make this touch. If he does make this touch, it's actually just a really straightforward pass to you, and then you can get the ball away, so it's really nice and easy for you. If you're in net and he does realise you're in net and he makes a different touch, he's either going to do one or two things. If he's good enough, he's going to keep the ball nice and close to him, in which case you still stay in net and just wait till he becomes close enough for you to be able to challenge it. And again, it's about assessing that risk and understanding the right moment to make the challenge. Or if his touch is bad, if he maybe takes a shot, a different kind of shot, maybe a better shot, then obviously because you're in net, you're in a better position to make the save and deal with it. If his touch is poor and it comes to you, then obviously, again, you can get it away. But dropping into net here would definitely be the right decision because it just gives you more control over what's about to happen. Whereas because we've kind of turned here, we're not really in a net and we're not really challenging the ball, we're kind of doing neither, and it's just given, because your teammate is so far out of the play, he's clearly not going to be able to help you, and it's given the guy on the ball so much of an opportunity to just do whatever he wants here. It's a poor touch anyway. Had we have been slightly further back, not even fully in net, we'd have still stopped that, but because we have just crept and we've kind of been in what I would call no man's land, that ball goes over us and it's a goal conceded. So as soon as he takes the first touch, the very first touch, is when we need to be making a decision. And that decision needs to be, I'm going out to challenge, or it needs to be, I'm dropping back to net. Now, if the first touch is a poor touch from him and it comes close enough to you that you think, right, screw it, I'm going to go and challenge. If you then go to challenge and realise he's actually going to beat you to the ball, there's two things you can do. You can either try and go for a 50-50 block, which could then potentially result in buying your teammate time to get back and deal with the danger. Could also result in the blue guy's teammate getting there and scoring a goal. Fine, that happens. Or second thing you can do, if he takes the first touch, and as I said, it's a poor touch, so you think you can beat him to the ball and it's your ball, and then it turns out he's going to beat you to the ball, you can do the whole fake challenge thing, because as soon as he sees that you're closer to him in a position where you can potentially challenge, he's going to panic and his touch isn't going to be so good. So certainly the first thought there, when he makes the very first touch, it was a really good touch. It just drops it on top of his car. Drop back into net, see what he's going to do with it. If his then subsequent touches are poor, then you can kind of make the decision to go out and challenge, but certainly dropping into net in the first instance would have been the right decision there. Again, kick off. So this time it's the opposite way. I'm not going to mention it again after this, but diagonal kick-off, teammates on the right-hand side. In this instance, go for the right-hand boost because it was behind him, and his momentum will likely bring him out to this side. And if their blue team start an attack from this kick-off, then he might potentially be looking for this boost that you've just grabbed. Otherwise, not anything really wrong with it. And there, we're a bit lucky. We could have been quicker and more alert to the danger. So as soon as we realise that, he is going to take a shot here, as soon as we see him go up, we need to be boosting towards our net and being ready to make a save. We're not really close enough. Optimum place to be here is the back post, i.e. the post that you're nearest to right now, but you're not quite near enough to it. And if this shot is good enough that it goes into the bottom corner as opposed to wide, then that's a goal, and you can see how close it is there to being a goal. So we just need to be more alert to the danger here. So as soon as we see that this guy touches the ball, we need to be boosting back to net because we know that that's instant danger. Your teammate's not going to challenge this. He's got control of the ball now. He's actually the same guy, I think, that's just scored against you. So we know that he's going to be, feeling quite confident at this point. So boosting back to net, making sure that we get there. Fortunate that he's missed, and then making his challenges right. Delaying the challenge, not so good. I can understand why you did it. I think it was an attempt at a fake. At champ level, this might have worked. At diamond level, it's not going to work because they'll just challenge everything. So just be mindful of that. And then the touch on your car makes it really unfortunate that it drops in front of your net. I'm not quite sure where your teammate's gone, if I'm being completely honest. It's a good save in the end, but now you've got no boost. This is really awkward. Let your teammate get it away. Yeah, I'd have preferred to have seen you grab some pads there. The boost was there for the taking, and I get that, but your teammate's trying to launch a counter-attack, and you can grab an extra 12, 24, 36, 48 boost just by following the ball here. So you can grab the pad in front of you, that puts you up to 24. Then the one kind of just to the right of it, so kind of in the direction of the Vavalu guy. You grab that one, and then you're up to 36, and then you can grab the one that's on pretty much halfway. Again, kind of nearer to the Huko guy that we can just about see on halfway. Grab those boosts, that's going to be enough for you to support your teammate in attack. I mean, going for the boost itself is not really a problem, but you kind of take yourself too far away from the play here. And it's left you in a situation here where you're now going to be faced with a tricky decision because your teammate's trying to do everything he can, and you're not really close enough. So again, you're in this kind of no man's land position. Probably worded that wrong, but just going to make it awkward for you to make a decision here. Teammate gets a good bump, which makes it a bit easier for you. Nothing wrong with that challenge. And again, same thing here with your teammates. So he's dropped all the way back for boost. He's probably had to be fair, so there's not a lot he could maybe have done about this, but it's the same thing. Where he's gone back for that boost, he's far too far out of the play to actually help you here. And then he ends up going for the ball, and he's beaten to it quite easily just because he's had to go back for the boost. The boost that he took was the one that you've just tried to take, which is why it wasn't there for you. That's a good save with no boost. And then again, at this point, you're just trying to get the ball away, and that's good. Teammate's fault here. It's a very sloppy game, if I'm being honest. So, this was fine. So, the ball almost goes over sort of your car back into the fence, but because you're moving in the direction the ball just hits your car, then that's fine. And then your teammate does exactly what I was telling you not to do earlier. So he comes too close. He doesn't establish himself as the number 2. He is the number 2 because he's behind you, but he comes far too far out. What you're going to want to do in defense, and we'll go over it in free play, as I said before we look at the ones replays, is always establish a number 1 and a number 2. And what you never want to do is have 2 players of the same team in the same corner, because it just creates problems for you later, and I'll explain that a bit more in free play. Poor shot from your teammate, but that's fine. He's still got the ball. Okay, I like the early decision making there. Just unfortunate. That's really good. I like that. So a lot of people here would try and get a touch on the ball as well. You do exactly the right thing by understanding that there's a demo opportunity to give the ball back to your teammate. You make the demo, and you sort of swerve to avoid the ball, which is really good. We never ever want to be hitting the ball when it's travelling towards our own nets. It just creates further problems and complications, but going for a demo is perfectly fine. And then you rotate back. It's unfortunate your teammates grab that boost again, and then again you're going across for the opposite boost, which you miss. I don't understand what that is. So first of all, we missed the boost, and I would expect really for a diamond player to be not really missing that boost. But again, that's just a game sense thing. And then I don't know why we've gone up the wall here. I don't know whether you're just expecting them to score and you've given up. But certainly it would only have taken a quick use of the handbrake to get back onto that boost and get yourself in net to be able to make a save, exactly kind of like you've done here. You'd already have been there. As it is your teammate's position to take that ball, so it's worked out. But it's really disjointed now. So you've got one player on attack and one player in defence, and there's no synergy between the two of you. There's no rotation. There's no team aspect. It's kind of like 2 separate 1v2s going on, and it's not an ideal situation here. And your teammates rotated ball side, which hasn't done you any favours. But again, there's kind of 2 independent 1v2s going on at this point, so I can understand why he's done that. That's well played to get the ball this far. Good 50. It's now your teammate's ball because, as I said, it's gone sort of closer to your net than their net. It's So at this point, it's gone closer to your net than you are, so it's now your teammate's ball to deal with. So all you need to do at this point is work on getting back and getting some boost, which is what you're doing. You're going ball side, which I don't like. You should go the opposite side. However, your teammate has just grabbed the opposite corner side boost, so actually this probably works out okay for you in the end. And then your teammate can't save a ball. Yeah, so the reason we would tend to go the other side is, so your teammate's really poorly positioned there anyway. I don't think he'd have been able to do anything about this as it is anyway, but if we'd have gone the opposite side, we'd have established ourselves as the number 2 player, whereas because we've cut into this side, we've established ourselves as the number 1 player, and we're not facing the ball, which makes it awkward for us to deal with. We've had to turn back towards net to try to deal with it. It's not a great touch, and it just presents a shooting opportunity for the blue team, whereas if we'd gone number 2 position, your teammate could have established himself as number 1. He's probably facing the direction that the ball's coming from, so he's in a much better place to deal with it than you are, and potentially he gets this ball clear. As it is, you get the touch, and then, as I said, your teammate can't save the ball. We'll go over it in free play afterwards, but it's the one big thing that needs work on at the moment is the rotation side of things. Not sure why we're not going for that kickoff. Yeah, so we've reached a point here where you're relying too much on the mechanical part of your game, and it's you can do it to an extent, but your mechanics aren't quite good enough where they can carry you at this rank, and that's the problem, and that's why you do need to start to get either some extra game sense or using that mechanics for good use. So I can see that your use of the word mechanics is because you can do the air rolling thing in the air with the ball, and you can kind of keep the ball under some control. However, the touches you're getting aren't of any benefit at this point, and it's just the one replay, so again, sometimes they might, I don't know. But so if we go back to this start of the play, so you don't go for the kickoff, not sure why, and then you go up for this, and then that touch is just of no use. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't go towards their net. It allows a simple clear for them because it's too close for them, and you've used all your boost doing all this air rolling stuff in the air. It's just of no use at this point. And then your teammate comes in for a challenge. Sure, he probably shouldn't have done because assessing risk. That was a risky one, and he shouldn't really have gone for that. And then here we've got plenty of boost, and the positioning is a little bit dodgy, and what I mean by a little bit, so we should be at the far post to begin with, and like I said, we're going to look at it at free play afterwards, and we're just slightly too far out of net as well, so we should, if we're going to be in this position, we need to be either on the goal line or slightly behind it, and that's going to allow us to deal with the ball wherever it goes, whereas because you're slightly forward of the goal line, it's made it quite awkward for you to deal with this when it comes in. And you have to try and air roll into it, and it's created an awkward touch against your crossbar. Teammate at this point has no trust, and then it just goes in. Oh, that's unfortunate. Do your teammate's ball, leave that for him. So admittedly, you're number 1 at this point up until you see your teammate cutting in. If he's cutting in, then sure, he probably shouldn't be, but equally let him. And then as soon as he is remaining with the ball here, it's still his ball, he's still number 1, he's got more boost than you've just seen him get the 100. Just have a little bit more respect for him, grab some pads, get yourself some boost, and establish a number 2 position.
30 seconds left on the clock.
And again, so you're making touches that are of no use here, so ball comes out, I don't think you meant to touch it quite like that. I think you're trying to get it into their corner, which would have been the right thing to do. And then again, I don't know why we've taken off and done an air roll straight away. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't really make sense. I understand like the want to do mechanics, but this isn't the time. 24 seconds left, 3 goals to get is still easily doable. And you take off an angle that really isn't conducive to hitting the ball. The angle that you're facing is towards that live now sign at the end of the grandstand thing in the background, which is nowhere near where the ball is. So it's forcing you to then take an awkward touch, which puts it straight back into the middle, which is going to give it straight back to the blue team, which is going to allow them to take a shot and put your teammate under pressure. It's not a useful touch to make. And again, at this point, I appreciate we've tried to score a nice fancy goal, and we have done, but again, it's just taken slightly too long. You could have gone for it at this point. Both of the blue team are well out of the play. One of them's clearly scrambling for boost. Their net is wide open. I'd prefer to just see a shot here right now, just bang it at their net and score the goal, and then you're giving yourself maybe 10 seconds to score 2 goals, as opposed to what you do here, which is you take the extra touch and then you do this. It's a nice goal, don't get me wrong, but you've given yourself 7 seconds to score 2 goals, whereas you could have potentially given yourself 10 seconds to score 2 goals. Yeah, and that's it all over. Right. So before we go into your ones replays, which I suspect are going to be slightly better than that, if I'm being honest, let's go over some quick basics here. So twos rotations is very straightforward. So as I said in that replay, you've got a number 1 and a number 2. The majority of twos attacks start with one player taking the ball down into the opposition corner. So say that would be number 1 player at this point. So say this is you, you're number 1. You take the ball into their corner. At this point, you're trying to look for a pass into the middle. Once you make that pass, you need to then rotate. So once you've made a pass into the middle, your rotation is either going to be, if your teammate's there and goes for a shot, then you rotate back this way purely to get out of everyone's way, because there's likely going to be 3 people there. You don't really want to be colliding into them. If you kind of pass it into the middle and your teammate's not there, then because of your mechanics, I would suggest trying to make the shot yourself, or and then that allows you to rotate the correct way, which is back out of the play, and it then allows your teammate to rotate in. If we've got the ball in the corner, and if we go for a challenge here or something and it gets stuck here or it goes slightly back towards your own net, rotate out, head towards their net, try and get a bump, try and steal their corner boost if it's there. If it's not there, grab this mid boost instead. That allows your teammate to jump in as number 1 and establishes yourself back as number 2, and then you're in a position where at this point you'll have been having the ball cam on, so you'll be able to see what's going on, and it allows you to either, if your teammate's unsuccessful, it makes it nice and easy for you to get back quickly. If he is successful in keeping the ball in the opponent's sort of half and keeping the opponents under pressure, if you realise at this point that he's kind of hit the ball centre, then again it allows you to come in and make a shot. And that's essentially twos rotations when attacking in a nutshell. So just keep the pressure up, always rotate far side. And it's the same kind of thing for when you're in the middle of the pitch as well. So if you've got the ball here and you're kind of dribbling it towards their net or something and they challenge you and the ball goes in that direction, immediately turn this direction, look for boost and see if you can get yourself back, because the ball's gone in that direction. That's why we're rotating in this direction. There's 2 reasons that we do this. So the first one is that because everything's happening on this side of the pitch and we've been challenged here, it makes sense for us to go this way because everything's happening over there, and it means this side of the pitch is clear, which means there's more boost for us to take, and it gives us a better chance of being able to defend. The second reason we do it is because if we get challenged here and the ball goes in that direction, if we move in this direction, we're only really getting in the way. Sure, we can try and go for a demo, potentially, on either of the 2 blue players, but it leaves a potential for us, especially if we've got ball cam on and the ball's up the wall here. It leaves a potential for us to actually bump our teammate out of the way and leave the net unguarded. So as soon as the ball, if you're challenged in the middle, as soon as the ball goes either side, you just go opposite side and get yourself ready to defend if you need to. Now, defensive rotations, if you're rotating back, so say that you've just been on attack, say that your teammate has, what should we say? So say that you've tried to put the ball in here and your teammate's there, he's gone for a shot, he's ended up in their net, and they're now attacking down that other side. Our rotation would be quite simply to get back onto the far post whilst we wait and see what happens. So assume they're coming in from the side we're looking at. We want to be in this kind of position, somewhere around here, so that we're guarding the whole net. Now the reason we're here and not here is because if we're here, we can only really defend the near post or anything that's in front of us. If they take some kind of wild shot and it goes behind you, your chances of saving it are probably pretty slim. Whereas if we're in this position, just sat here, the whole of the net is there for us to guard. So if they take a shot and it comes up to the far post, then it's really easy for us to make a save. Equally, if they take a shot and it goes central of the net or it goes near post, it's again much easier for us to get across and save. We would hold that position. Before I go on to how long we would hold this position for. So being here also allows us to assess what's going on the rest of the pitch. So we would have ball come on normally. Obviously the ball's in the centre at the moment because I haven't moved it, but normally the ball would be kind of in this direction, and this is the kind of view we would have if we'd have ball come on. Now what this allows us to do is it allows us to see exactly what they're doing with the ball and assess what kind of danger there is. It also allows us to see what the second man on the blue team is doing, so establish how much of a threat there's going to be for a potential pass and shot, and it also allows us to use the stick to quickly see where our teammate is and see how good their recovery is and how quickly they're getting back. And once we know that, we can then assess the situation a bit more and understand what we're going to need to do next. So if our teammate is, for example, from the same scenario where he's been in their net and they've done a quick counter attack, assume he comes back on the same side as the ball side. It's not the right thing to do. He might be looking for a demo, or he might just be rotating the wrong side. Either way, because we see him rotating on that side, we need to be extra cautious and just stay and wait and see what he does, and then, as I said, continue to be ready to sort of make a save if the ball goes anywhere in the net. Whereas if we know that he's coming back this side, there's two things we can do. So we can either wait till we hear his car engine behind us, and then we can just push forward a little bit into the number one position. At this point, you are number one, but you're assuming a number two's position purely because you're alone. Once you're not alone, you establish number one's position. Now, number one's position in twos is probably going to be somewhere central in the net until the ball becomes a bit more of a danger. So once the ball is pushed sort of towards your backboard, you can then push forward here a little bit more towards the nearer post, because your teammate's got the rest of behind you covered. The second thing you can do is if you play with music, or if you don't have the game sound that loud, or you don't want to use your ears that much, you can just keep doing this and check in to see when your teammate is back behind you. Now, at Diamond, you're going to find that a lot of teammates, rather than doing the right thing, so assuming that you're exactly where you were there, and I'm your teammate and I can see you, the right thing to do would be to just come in behind you and then expect you to move forward once I get there. And if you don't, then I'll just simply jump over you and get in front of you, and then you know that I'm number one now and you're number two. What you'll find in Diamond that happens a lot is that they'll see you sat there and they'll think, oh, that's a bit of a weird place to be. It's not, it's the right place to be, but because they think it's a bit weird, they'll just jump in front of you like this. Again, that's fine, let them do it. They're now number one, you're now number two. Number two is a better position to be in anyway, because as I said, it gives you more chance of making a save, and it also gives you more control over the play. Number one's job is essentially to make the initial decisions, and number two's job is just to clear up afterwards. So once you move forward into the number one position, when the ball is in your corner, it's not a threat to your goal at all. At the point it's in the corner, they can't score from the corner. Certainly, if both of you are in your net, they just can't. There's no chance. So, if the ball's in your corner, leave it there, let them do their thing, and as soon as it then starts to come towards your net, that's when your decision making kicks in. So, if they're playing a pass into middle, we can try and cut it out. If they bring the ball along the backboard towards your net, you can make a decision to do one of two things. You can either go up the wall to challenge it and meet it, or you can simply let them do it and kind of drop back into net a little bit more. At this point, your teammate knows that you've done this. Your teammate's got a decision to make about what he wants to do in terms of challenging. But because you've done this, you've now got control over the net. So if he then drops it down to his teammate and your teammate misses the ball, for example, if his teammate comes in from the direction we're looking at and tries to make a shot, you've got time here to assess whether or not you can go out and challenge it, whether or not you need to sit in net and try and make a save. Either way, it's just a comfortable position to be in. So as a number one, if the ball goes into your corner, fine, let it be there. It's not a problem to you whilst it's in your corner. It's only a problem once it starts coming towards your net, and that's when the decision making needs to be made. And if it goes into your corner and say the other team miss the ball, for example, or they lose control of it, or they lose control of themselves, and obviously at that point you would want to come out and take the ball. Now if you come out and try and clear the ball and you get challenged and the ball is left here, you then immediately want to rotate yourself back and come in as the second man again. So the minute the ball, as I said, goes closer to your net than you are, so if you kind of challenge it here and it gets stuck here, rotate out, head towards the far corner boost with ball cam on. Obviously turning ball cam on just looks in that direction at the moment, but if we had ball cam on, it would normally be this kind of direction. Head towards the far corner boost. If the danger isn't significant, then you've probably got time to go and grab it. If the danger is significant, then instead of doing that, then we would still head towards the boost, but we've realised at this point that the danger is quite significant, so we can just drop into this second man position instead, and then your teammate knows that he's first man and can do what he wants. As soon as your team, if you are number two and your teammate does go out and make the challenge in the corner, at this point you drop in slightly, only ever so slightly, because we still want to make sure that we're covering most of the net if we can. But we move in slightly because we know that essentially we become first man, and your teammate's then going to hopefully rotate back and become second man. And then again, we assess the danger. If we can come out and try and make a clearance, then we can do so. I wouldn't recommend it whilst your teammate's still in view. So if you can still see your teammate with ball cam on, which it would be at this point, then don't challenge it. Just wait until you can't see your teammate anymore. Once you can't see your teammate anymore, you can assume that he's safely behind you and ready to deal with anything that you can't, so then you can go out and challenge again. And that's simple two's defensive rotation. So first man sits here-ish, challenges only if the ball is lost control of in the corner, or if it starts to become a threat, so if it comes in this kind of direction, or if the first man on their team makes a pass, then we're there to try and cut it out. And second man's job is literally just to back up the first man. So if first man tries to cut out a pass or goes up the backboard and misses, then the ball sort of comes into the central area, and then number two can come in and cut it out, or bump the second blue guy who's waiting for the ball, or do all manner of things. Number two just needs to be patient, let first man do his thing, and then clean up the pieces afterwards if necessary. Like I said, never ever have two teammates in the same corner, whether that's on attack or in defence. And the reason for that is because if you're doing it in attack, then there's every chance that the ball could just go behind you and it leaves an open net in your end. And doing it in defence is exactly the same thing. You're just creating an open net there where the ball can just be popped around you, and then there's an open net. So never ever have two teammates in the same corner. Always on defence, try and have one in net if you can. If your teammate's way down the field, then still get in net and wait and see what the danger is, and then assess the danger when it meets you and do whatever's relevant. So if they're looking really menacing, if they're both attacking, if you've got one player one side and one player the other side on the ball, stay in net and wait and see if they try a pass, and then you've got a chance of saving it. If they lose control, come out and challenge it. If it's a 1v1, then assess the danger according to how well under control they've got the ball, and then you either sit in there and wait for a shot and make the save, or you just come out and challenge it. Depends on the level of danger and risk there is. But I hope you found that helpful. If you've got any questions, let me know and I can explain further. Let's go ahead and look at your ones replays. Don't know why you didn't go for the ball AFK at the start, maybe. Okay. I'm not gonna give this a minute to watch. I'm gonna analyze it from the start. So, he's faked you there, and it's a pretty good fake. Probably the right decision to be challenging it, but just be mindful of the fact that you can fake it, and then that you might need to collect some boost. He pops it over you in the end and gets a really nice shot. Yeah, it was the fake that caused that. I don't really expect to see that too much at this level, so it might have been a fake. It might have been an accidental fake. Good. Nothing wrong with that. So that is the mechanical side coming out. The mechanical side, like I said at the very start of this video, the mechanical side and the fact that you're similar rank in ones as you are in twos indicates a more mechanical side of the game. So that was all very useful to you. And that's the kind of thing that I would be expecting to see in twos. In twos, you were trying to do too much without thinking of the usefulness of the situation. So if you apply the same kind of logic in twos as you do in ones when you're trying to do stuff like that, think about how successful your touches are going to be, how much pressure they're going to put the other team under, and whether or not it's better to do something mechanical or whether it's better to do something really simple and just keep the other team under pressure. There was a few times in the twos game where you tried to do something mechanical, whereas it would have been a much better option to just do something simple and keep the other team under pressure. That was a good shot there, and that was a good example of why you think that your mechanics are a good part of your game. I don't see anything wrong with your kickoffs at all, and it was something that you mentioned in the RLCD channel, but honestly, or well, it might have been to me directly, but your kickoffs are fine. And here it's the same kind of thing. So I think the mechanics have probably got you this far, but you need to improve them more at this point. So the mechanics are good, but again, there's a sense of usefulness, and the first touch here wasn't great. It still leaves you with an opportunity to take a shot, but in ones you can't ever risk the ball hitting the other guy's backboard and leaving you with no boost, like it does here. You can't ever risk that. So as soon as you realise that this ball, so at this point it's still okay-ish. It's not the best first touch because it takes you out wide, but it's fine. It's at this point you realise that you should be thinking, realistically, how am I going to score from here? I'm not. Okay, I've got 32 boost and the ball's going to bounce down and back towards my own net. I need to just be dropping down or trying to bump the other guy, doing everything I can to stop him scoring. Whereas what you do is we're persistent in staying on the ball. He defends it as you should in ones at this rank, which is to just simply let the other person make a mistake, and then it leaves an open net for them to score on. He's just going to go ahead and score this because that's all what one's all about at this level. Don't mind the not going for kickoff so much in ones as I did in twos. Okay. The thought process was good. The execution was lacking. So, I'm assuming you understand why you haven't connected with this. There's two main reasons. So the first one is that the ball is just sat on the slightly wrong part of your car. It's slightly too far forward and you're carrying slightly too much momentum, and the ball just pings a little bit further forward than it should. The second reason is that you try the second flip a little bit too quickly, so it's done kind of almost instantaneously, whereas you just need to leave it for another, maybe it's literally a third of a second or half a second, and then use the flip, and you'd maybe got the flick that you were after there. He's giving you the ball back, but maybe a bit slow. It works though. Take the boost. Okay, going for the bump play. That's fine. That should be a goal. I'd have expected here, honestly, for you to have taken a shot from here. Because you say that you're really mechanical, I'd have expected you to maybe have taken a shot from here and just put him under pressure, taking him by surprise a little bit. Going for a bump play was fine, though. You missed it, obviously, which is not an issue. And then you take advantage of the fact that his touch is poor, knock it past him and score the goal. That's really good. Nice, well played. Do it again to him. Oh, okay. You could have done it again there. You could have faked it again. He'd have gone past it, and that would have left an open net. He's fake challenged it anyway, so he's got back to make the save. Yeah, there's an element here of not knowing exactly when to challenge. So you're doing the right thing in terms of the shadow. At that point, I'd have said you probably could have challenged. He clearly doesn't have the ball under control. The challenge would be risky on the basis that if he 50s it, it could really go anywhere. But equally, if you challenge this ball when he makes that really crappy touch there, you probably get a bump on him as well if you flip into it. So that was challengeable. And then once it goes up the wall, you've got 0 boost. As soon as it starts to head for the wall, assume that he's got enough boost to do something with it and drop back to your corner, grab your corner boost, get yourself boosted up and ready for whatever he's going to do. Don't try and flip into it and try and keep the ball in the area it sings. That's of no use to you, and it just potentially allows him to do something with it. He hasn't done anything with it yet, which is fortunate, and then the decision to make the challenge there was good because he was dawdling on the ball. And then again there, it's a good fake, but I'd have preferred to have seen a shot. Again, that's quite an easy goal. If we just sort of jump and score, I don't know why we're not doing it. You have faked him, fair enough, but he's recovered, and then it's created a situation where there's been a 50. It's not a great 50 for you. This is still savable at this point. Fortunately, we don't save it. Yeah, take the shot. The fake was nice, but it didn't result in a goal, whereas a shot would have done. The kickoff diagonally is good. When there was a straight line one a minute ago, you did a very different kickoff, and I don't know why. You can use the same kickoff for both. Oh wow, where's he going? Okay. That's all kinds of messy from both of you. That's really weird. So, okay, let's go back to this whole thing. Okay, so it's unfortunate we've missed the boost initially. We could have probably grabbed it then, to be fair. That's a poor touch from him. He's panicking at this point. The touch from you isn't ideal, but it's fine. He sods off in mid-boost, so at this point I'd already be handbrake turning. Using the flip isn't useful for you here, so having a bit more ground control would be. So as soon as we flip, at this point you can't take that back. You can't regain control of your car. You've got to wait for the flip to play out. Whereas if you'd stayed on the ground, you could have done a handbrake turn, had the ball on top of your car, and there's an open net there because he's fucked off for mid-boost. Because we flipped, we've got to continue it, and now he's in possession of the ball, and it's just unfortunate. Again, it's a challenge. It's probably a risky one. And the reason it's risky is because he's right on top of the ball and we're steaming in. Sure, there's a potential for this to go over him and hit his corner and drop in front of his net, but we're using all of our boost to do it, and we've hit the ball at the wrong point of the ball as well, so we've hit the top of the ball. If we're going to be making these challenges, we need to make sure we're hitting the lower parts of the ball. So if we drop it down here, because he stayed on the ground and we've hit the upper parts of the ball, he wins the 50. If we hit a lower part of the ball can only really go upwards. So the way the ball mechanics work in Rocket League, if you're not aware, is the ball will, if there's a 50, the ball will travel in the direction of whoever's higher. So it will travel, how do I word this? So think of it like this. So if there's a 50 between players and they're both as low to the ground as one another, so they're both on the ground, the ball will only go in one direction, and that's straight upwards. If there's a 50 and one player is really high on the ball, then they'll push the ball down into the ground and the ball will go in the direction that the other player wants it to, because it will just go under the player that's up in the air. Whereas if when we go to challenge this ball, not this one, the next one, oh, maybe it was. Where is it? Okay, this one. So if we go to challenge this ball, okay, if we just continue on the ground, continue on the ground, still on the ground. When we hit the ball, then we flip. And the reason for that is because Rocket League mechanics and ball physics work so that whoever is higher, when the ball is pushed higher, will win the ball. So if we reach a point where we are level playing to begin with, so it's a 50-50, the ball just goes straight upwards. However, the ball will continue to 50 between the two of you until it's released from both of you. So if we can flip as we're hitting the ball, it pushes up higher into the air than the other player, and the ball will then understand that we're higher in the air, so eventually you'll win that 50, and the 50 will push into his end. The reason it hasn't is because we've begun that jump far too early, and we've then been above the ball, and as I said, it goes underneath you, because that's the way Rocket League ball physics work, and he's got an open net, he's going to score it. Whether or not we should be challenging this in the first place is another question I'd be asking. Fake challenge there would have probably been a better option, because he has been panicking for about the last 20-30 seconds. If we fake challenge this, he's going to be panicked into making a touch, and when he makes that touch, based on the angle he is to the ball, it likely goes back to our corner, where we're then ready to defend and take the ball back off him. Yeah, that's a better straight line kickoff. That's more what I'd be expecting. There's a slight sense of fortune there that he's hit that back into you, but it's a good shot, it's a good effort. Yeah, and again, good kickoff. Yeah, you've just been undone by the fact that he was slow on his kickoff, and sometimes that does undo you, can't really help that. Good. Also good. Poor touch from him, and that's a goal. Yeah, everything you did was right there. Okay, I think it's just you're mixing your kickoffs up. You're mixing your kickoffs up, which is fine. At first, I thought it was that you just didn't really understand how you were doing the straight line kickoffs, but I now seem to understand that it's just you mixing them up, which is fine. When I say mixing up, I don't mean that you're getting messed up. I mean that you're changing them up, which is a good thing. Yeah, your kickoffs are strong. You're beating into everyone, so that's good. Okay. Potential for a Doomsday dish was on here. I don't know why we didn't really go for it. So, could have just touched the ball, pushed it further towards his net, and then come off the wall. And with the mechanics that you've displayed, I'd expect you to be able to score from there. As it is, we've kind of missed the ball, and at that point, it's real danger. And obviously, there's not a lot you can do to help this in the end. Could maybe have flipped once or twice more on the way back. It would have made you a little bit quicker, but it wouldn't have changed the goal, so. Okay. I've already worked out what's making you successful in ones and what's not, and it's everything that ones is all about, and well, there's two main things that ones is all about, and one of them is really, really helping you, and one of them is really, really letting you down. And I'll explain it to you once I've seen the second video. But I already know what they are. Oh wow, okay. Good 50. Nice. What you could have done as well here is the minute you see him go flying past. The angle you've got on the ball isn't good enough for this. But if you'd have been heading straight towards his net as opposed to trying to drag the ball more out to the right-hand side, as soon as you see him flipping for that boost, you can take a shot from here. Just flip into the ball and shoot at his net. He's in that flip, so he can't change direction. And taking a flip into the ball here will get enough power on the ball that he wouldn't be able to save it. So you could have taken an instant shot. It's fine though that you didn't. You got the 50 in the end and you scored a goal. So. Just be careful with those kickoffs. So that's perhaps the second or third diagonal one in a row that you haven't gone for. That will start to get very predictable once you get to a slightly higher 1v1 level. They'll understand that you're not going for any of them, and they'll do a lot more with it, with the ball. So just be mindful of that. Poor judgment and results in a goal. And it's really, really clear what's letting you down in ones. And it's the one big thing that especially at this rank, it's the one big thing that allows you to sort of push through the ranks. And your opponent in this instant is utilising it very, very well. And like I said, I'll explain it after we see the second game. Better flick, good stuff. See what you're going for. Good idea. Ooh, again there. So I appreciate the want to sort of wait, but again, if we sort of just drive backwards and hit this ball as it touches the ground, this goes straight towards his net and makes it difficult for him. And with 10 seconds to go, with a goal needed, that would be the option I'd have taken. It's just a slight mistiming on the flick, and again it's unfortunate that clock timer ends because we probably score this, so it's just unfortunate in the end. But yeah, the flicks I think just need a little bit more work in terms of timing. Just getting some free play. It's clear that you understand what you're trying to do. It's clear that you understand what you want to do, and you're making the right decisions in terms of the flicks you're trying to do and when you're trying to do them. Just getting free play and make sure you're nailing them. Mechanics wise, they are the better part of your game. I wouldn't say they're incredibly strong. Certainly in the twos game they weren't. They're good enough to get you goals in ones, but there's a lot of decision making that's causing them to concede a lot of goals as well. And like I said, I'll explain it after this replay, because it's the reason that you've lost that game. So the mechanics can be a great asset. They do need extra work just to really sort of fine tune them. So continue to work on them because they're decent, especially for a Diamond 1, but they can be improved a lot more. But there's a lot more in terms of game sense, like you said, that can be improved on. And that's what I'm here for. So I'll explain it after we've looked at the replay. Don't know why it's gone so laggy. But that was much better. That was much better. So again, didn't try anything fancy, just went for a shot. Simple. Goal. Nice. Sometimes that's all you need. Nice challenge. Hit a shot. Okay, again. So again, there, shot was on. Just take it, make it simple for yourself. So we have a look. So he has no interest in going for the ball. He just wants to get himself some boosts so he's ready to defend. I don't know what it is we're trying to do here or thinking of, but we can quite easily just slow ourselves down and take a shot towards his net here, and that's 2-0 instantly. He's not in a position to be able to save it. As it is, you use some boosts, so you haven't got as much as you'd like, and then you're going for this ball, you run out of the boost, you try a shot. It's a good effort, to be fair. You did all you could, but you could have just taken the instant shot. It would already be 2-0. And again, much better. You took the instant shot. It's a goal. I think so. This is. I'm going to explain it in real detail after the replay, but a lot of the time, so because you've got this mechanics-based game style, you're focusing far too much on it, as opposed to when at times you can keep things really simple and just score a goal. You're trying to make things too complicated at times. So twice there we've seen you just score goals just from doing the basics. We could have seen it in extra time. We didn't. I'd say in ones, a game is never over. It can be 7-0 with 1 minute to go, and a game is never over. Mechanic skills can be really, really useful and are really, really useful in ones, but just be careful about how much you're using them and making sure you're using them when it's the right time to use them, as opposed to when a simple option would be better. Again, your kickoffs are solid. So I'm going to explain one of the things that's really helping you in ones. Because there's two, like I said, there's two at this rank. There's two at any rank. There's one thing that's that can make or break a game in ones, and at rank up until about GC in ones, there's a second criteria that really makes or breaks a ones game. Our first criteria is something you've really got nailed down, which is the kickoffs. Your kickoffs are really good, and 9 times out of 10, having a stronger kickoff can win you a ones game, depending on how you play the rest of the game. So your kickoffs are solid. I would keep working and keep doing the same kickoffs because they're definitely working for you. I don't see anything wrong with timing or anything at this stage. It's all pretty good. And again, there, so we go for the basic thing. Sure, we miss, but that's fine. That happens from time to time. And then it's a good challenge. He's just whiffing at this point. At least 4 of the 5 goals, if not all 5 of the goals you've scored, have been because you did something basic rather than trying to do something mechanical. And that's something I really want you to take home from watching this, is that too often you're trying something too mechanical. And don't get me wrong, trying something mechanical and practicing the mechanics and getting good mechanically is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Knowing when to do them is the best way to carry it forward. And at times, like there, you just made the wrong decision. Sure, initially the idea might have been fine, but to be honest, you're trying this from way too far out. I've got a friend who's top 100 in ones, and he would be unlikely to score this. It's just you've tried it from too far out, basically. If this is slightly closer to halfway, fine, but you've tried it from too far away. You've made your intention to the other guy perfectly clear. You go for a late flip reset, you've run out of boost, doesn't really work out for you. If we'd have gone for an earlier reset, might have been better, might have worked out a little bit differently. Because we've gone for a late reset, it's happened and you've been forced into trying to do it quickly. You've ended up missing the ball. Because he could see what you were doing the entire way, and because he knew how far away you'd been doing it for, he would have known that you were running out of boost and quickly, and would have known that you'll have been running out of boost at some point. Sure, you're unlucky to miss the reset, I get that, but you've kind of played directly into his hands here, because essentially he's known where the ball's going the whole time. He's known exactly what you're doing, and he's done the right thing. He's just been patient, waited for you to make the mistake, and he's then gone and scored a goal because of it. I said I was going to wait till the end of the game. I'm not, because that's a perfect example. So the two things that are really, really going to see you win games in ones at this rank are going to be the kickoffs, which, as I said, you've got nailed. Great. The second thing is waiting for a mistake. Now, you can rank up to, like I said, up to about Champ 3, possibly even GC1, by simply doing nothing. And what I mean by that, by doing nothing, is by simply letting the other person do what they want with the ball. Obviously, keeping it nice and tight defensively and making sure that you're not letting them do too much. But waiting for them to do too much and waiting for them to make a mistake. Because as soon as they make a mistake, they leave their net open and it's then an empty net that we can score a goal in. And that is key to ranking up in ones. As I said, up to probably about C3, GC1. And that's exactly where you're being caught out every single time. They're waiting for you to make the mistake that you do eventually make, and they're scoring the goals. Now, in the other game, it was really, really dominant in terms of that. And genuinely, I think it's because you were trying the mechanical stuff too much in that first game. As soon as you realise that you're not going to be able to get the shot you want, or as soon as you realise that the shot's missing and hitting backboard, you want to cancel whatever you're trying to do, get some boost and get ready to defend. Because as soon as you're not getting the shot you want to get, or you run out of the boost, it plays straight into the opposition's hands. They can make the save, or they can just wait for the ball to fall down. They've probably got 100 boost, you've got 0, and it's an open net for them. Same principle with if your shot's hitting the backboard. Unless it's hitting the backboard in a way that you can definitively double tap it in, which we saw an attempt of, I think, in the first game of ones, but it was not going in. Then as soon as you realise it's hitting backboard, again, cancel out, grab boost and get ready to defend. That's going to save you conceding so many goals, and it's the biggest, it's arguably the second biggest, but maybe equal biggest thing in ones at this rank is waiting for a mistake, the biggest being kickoffs. The mechanical stuff is going to help you. Certainly it's going to help you in closing stages of a game. So if the game goes to overtime, for example, then going up the wall and doing an air drag is definitely going to be helpful for you, because people are going to panic in overtime. But again, you've done exactly the right thing, and it's not trying the mechanical stuff. It's not trying to be too fancy. It was doing the simple thing, taking a nice shot. Sure, the shot could have been better. It could have been more powerful. But you took the shot, and it scored you a goal. And that's why you're currently leading 6-2, because you kept things nice and simple in this game. The reason he scored, I can't remember the first goal, but the reason he scored the second goal was because you tried to get too mechanical from too far out. Now, the mechanics you were trying were fine, but not from that far out. And in the end, it let you down because you ran out of boost. You tried the late reset. It didn't work out for you. He just waited for the mistake and he scored the goal. So keeping things simple more often is going to be key for you. And keeping the mechanics, but just making sure you're using them at the right time and then backing out of them when you realise they're not quite going to plan, going to be really key. That goal there, if we go back to it, because I wasn't paying too much attention to it, he gets the lucky demo from kickoff. And then, yeah, okay, so you think you've got him beat for speed. Ultimately, it's about assessing the risk again, and I've just hit the wrong button. At this point, is he posing a risk to my net? Not really. If he takes a shot here, does he pose a risk to my net? Not really. So I'd probably just go back into net and wait for the shot. He's already committed to it, so he's just giving you the ball back if we're sat in net. Because we've come out and tried to be fast and tried to beat him to the ball, he's managed to pop it over us and it's resulted in a goal. I'd have been more patient there, just sat in net and waited for him to see what he's done. He's only scored goals at this point because of your mistakes. Again, I can't remember the first goal, so that could be wrong, but generally, the second goal certainly was only scored because of your mistake. That goal was certainly scored because of your mistake. Learning when to challenge, learning when to be patient is going to be key. I appreciate at the point you were 6-2 up, so you can afford to lose a goal, but if you lose a second goal, it becomes 6-4. He's then got momentum. Still over half the game to go. It's not all over and done with just yet, so learning when to make the challenges definitely needs some work, or just needs a bit more thought perhaps behind it. Again, here I like the fact that you just tried to keep it simple. The air roll shot, you could probably have just waited for the ball to come down and dodged into it for a more powerful shot, but again, it was kept relatively simple, which I like, and then that's just keeping him well under pressure. And then, yeah, we should be scoring that really, but yeah, and then it all just goes tits up from there. So again, we should be scoring this. There's no excuse for missing this. I'm going to send you a pack to help you with scoring these, because this is quite basic and we really should be scoring that. So I'm going to send you a pack that will help you with that. And then at this point, we want to be hitting this ball. I appreciate you can't see the opposition guy until this point, but we need to be just hitting that ball and hitting it to the side, because we know we're on 0 boost. We know that he might have 100, and we know that if we're just leaving the ball, it's leaving you on that empty. Whereas if we hit the ball off to the side, we're giving ourselves at least a fighting chance of being able to get some boost and back to defend. And in the end, as I said, there's no attempt to hit the ball. He just pushed it past you. And again, he's waited for your mistake. He hasn't really even had to wait for it, to be fair, because he has tried to challenge you at various points. He's made mistakes. So here, it's a good save from him. I'm analysing him at this point. So here, he's made a mistake because he's been beaten to the ball. And then here, he doesn't have to wait for your mistakes. You just make it for him. You make the mistake, and he capitalises on it. Ooh, got away with that. Got away with that. The accuracy on... Whoa. Okay. Kind of weird crap happened there. We'll go back to that, because that... I definitely didn't see the right thing on my screen there. Okay, the ball stayed where it was. Okay, cool. Good. 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 No fancy shit. Just simple, basic, keep the ball under control, get a flick over him. Good. Really good. And you're probably wondering actually at this point why I wasn't shouting for an instant shot. A reason for it in this instance, he was heading for his net as opposed to it being in mid-flip or anything. And actually the angle from here and the fact that you're already partially on the wall makes it awkward for an instant shot. So ball control, good. And then the flick, also good. Happy with all of that. Again, see, this patience is good. This is what you should have done for that third goal. The one where I said you need to just be a bit more patient and wait for him to do something. This is exactly the kind of shot that he'd have got, and it would have been a really easy save. Because we weren't so patient the first time round. Didn't work out for us. This is better. This is slightly closer. So this is a good... it's probably still, because you're only on 63 boost, it's probably still slightly too far away, and that's purely because of the boost in this instance. If you had 100 boost at this point, I wouldn't have any objection for you going for this. Oh, and yeah, that's dodgy. Good save. So yeah, definitely keep practicing the mechanics. You're getting... the understanding of them is good. The execution of them is mostly good, but is at times lacking. So your understanding of what you want to do and what you're trying to do, pretty good. The way you're applying them, sometimes very good, sometimes not so great. Just keep practicing them, keep working on them, and they should continue to just grow. As I said, for a diamond rank, they're strong, so that's good. And again, they kept it simple, which I liked. There was no need for the fancy shit. It's just an unlucky shot in the end where it's slightly too powerful and has hit the crossbar. Oh, you got away with that. A few different kind of saves you can make here. The one I'd personally have gone for would be to wait a little bit more and then jump as the ball's kind of over me and push it into the corner that I'm facing. So in this instance, the corner kind of over to the right hand side, or the corner that we're kind of looking at in a way from this angle is the corner I'd be trying to push this into. If he doesn't push up quite so far, you've just given him a tap in. Fortunately, he does push up quite far, so it allows simple. It allows for him, or it allows for you to then clear the ball. And again, you've kept it really nice and simple. You've taken the instant shot because you realise that he's got no chance of saving it, and it's good. It's exactly what I was saying earlier. So difference between this game and the first game is definitely that you've kept it a lot more simple in this game, which is much better. Don't get me wrong, like I said, some of the times the mechanical stuff is good, and sometimes utilising it is good, and I think I've been pretty clear in this game about what I have liked and what I haven't liked. But the main difference between the two games, the kickoffs have been solid in both games, but the main difference in the first game was that you weren't keeping it simple enough at times, and the thing that's causing you to concede goals pretty much every single time you're conceding is just that they're waiting for you to make a mistake and they're capitalising on it, and that's pretty much what you're doing when you're keeping it simple, and it's why I like the simple stuff a lot. But pretty much every time you're conceding a goal, it's because they're waiting for you to mistake. And the majority of the time that you're making a mistake, it's because you're not bailing out of when you're trying the mechanical stuff when you should be bailing out. And it's just learning when to start to bail out and when to carry on going. And that's going to help you really improve quickly. Nice. The ones games are, as I said, more impressive than the twos game. The twos game, I think I gave quite a lot more feedback in, and obviously the rotations was something that we looked at, and hopefully you can take on board. Hopefully it was helpful to you. The ones, as I said, keep it as simple as you kept it a lot of the time in this game, and that's going to really help you. Learn when to bail out of the mechanical stuff and when to keep going with it. There's no harm ever in backing out of something, so long as you get then the opportunity to get yourself back on the ground, back with some boost and able to defend your net. It's going to stop you conceding quite so many goals where they're just waiting for you to make a mistake. Otherwise, pretty much all good. Just keep it going. Keep practicing the mechanics because they do need a little bit of fine tuning. Just the execution of them, like I said, the ideas you've got are pretty good. The execution sometimes is lacking. Otherwise, though, I think just really take on board knowing to keep it simple most of the time and knowing to bail out when you need to bail out. Keep those two things in mind and your ones is going to improve. In terms of the twos, same thing. Mechanically, you were sometimes going for things where you should be bailing out, or you were taking touches that weren't of any sort of great value. Learning when to take the touches, learning when to do the stuff in twos is going to be more helpful to you, and of course taking the rotation advice on board as well. Either way, it's been a pleasure. Hope this has been helpful for you. If it has, then let me know. If it hasn't, also let me know and we can see what else we can do. If you've got any questions, any queries, anything further I can help you with, do let me know. If you feel like this has been of value, feel free to leave some positive rep for me in the RLCD Discord. You don't have to. It's completely up to you, of course. And like I said, I'm here if you need anything else. So if you want to hop into some live sessions or something, or you need some more replays looking over, or you need anything explaining further, just let me know. And let me know again, like I said, if there's anything that you liked, anything you didn't like, because otherwise I can't ever improve either. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.